am here with Caitlin, and Caitlin, you have the most remarkable story. Could you share a little bit with me?
Sure. I like to think I'm still building that story. Recently somebody asked me to write a memoir, and I was like, but I'm not ready yet.
You have so much more to do.
I have so much more to do. Yeah, it really kind of started in 2014. I was in a life-changing motorcycle accident, but it's more complicated in that there was a lot of loss and trauma that happened around the same time period. I'd lost my brother a few months before, and 3 days after, my now ex-husband lost his best friend. So like, this is how we were starting our engagement and leading into our marriage. And then we got married in April. And then right after our honeymoon, actually, we found out his mom had cancer. And so we wanted to go eat food with her, and it was a nice day right at the end of May, literally the day before my 24th birthday, and we decided to ride the motorcycle. And it was going to be our last ride of the summer, and that was actually our last ride together ever.
Wow.
And a girl was texting while driving and T-boned us in her car, and that was it. That's all it took to really kind of change life up. The day before was normal. I went to work, and we were getting ready to go ride roller coasters the next day. You know, I went to the hospital, was flown by helicopter, taken by ambulance first, cracking jokes in the ambulance because it's not their fault that I was injured.
Right.
And then I remember passing out. Like, I made it all the way to the top of the helicopter, or to the helicopter pad, and then going through the hallways. And I remember that was it. I blacked out. And I'd gone into surgery, and I woke up. That was at 6:30 in the evening when the accident happened. I woke up at 2:15 a.m. on my birthday. And then as soon as I woke up, the nurse walked in and immediately broke HIPAA because my whole family's standing there and goes, "Oh, good, you're awake. We want to tell you that you're pregnant." And then like leaves the room. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to bed now. It was just really shocking and inappropriate timing, really. But we were trying to have a kid. That wasn't the surprise. It was just the surprise of how it happened. And it was traumatic. And it took me 2 years to realize I had PTSD from the accident.
Oh my God, yeah.
So for 2 years, I had all these emotions kind of pushed under the rug. I have an 8-year-old little girl now. She survived it with me.
What a miracle.
And
what a miracle, wow.
I knew that when I was in the hospital, I needed to take all of those emotions that I was feeling and put them away for a while. Something inside me told me not to get overstressed, over worried, or anything like that. Even when I stopped rolling after she hit us on the motorcycle, I mean, you can see scars from my road rash kind of on my body, and my face is like open from skidding across pavement, and my ankle is turned inward, and it shouldn't be in that position. And I knew I couldn't do anything at that moment, and that the best thing I could do was just stop and be calm.
You know, it's interesting because I just interviewed a couple in Santa Fe who have a ranch with equine therapy, and vets or anyone with PTSD just comes for free. And they stay and they work with them, they heal them. They have an amazing nonprofit, Horses for Heroes. And they have renamed post-traumatic stress syndrome post-traumatic spiritual dissonance. Because that's exactly what we do. We disconnect from ourselves. I have PTSD from my childhood, and you learn to compartmentalize your emotions.
It's a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's exactly what I was doing. It was how do I survive this moment? And how can I make it the best possible? And for me, that was stop. Don't think. Don't process anything right now. Now is not the time to process. The only thing I knew is when I stopped rolling, I didn't feel like I was going to die. I do remember that. I remember going, all right, well, I'll just wait for someone to get here. I think part of that was in high school, I did EMT basic training, and so I understood the medical sides of what I was going through and could think about it clinically in that moment, which was helpful. So I totally recommend people to go.
A full body assessment in your
I was
brain.
A different person. I was looking on going, how would I handle this? And I knew I needed a tourniquet. I knew that the faster I breathed, the more blood I would lose. I knew that if I lost more blood, I would lose more of my body. I knew that if I lost enough blood, I could die. So like, this whole thought process is happening, and I'm analyzing the situation probably more than I've analyzed anything in my life.
Right.
And it was something I could actually feel a little control of, though, because I had that information already beforehand.
Right.
And because I had practiced with it. And it's not the first time I've worked on trauma situations. We grew up on the farm. We had lots of animals. Unfortunately, we had to put down a bunch of animals with sickness and injuries. And so I got to see that very early on in life. And it made me less afraid of death, injury, that sort of thing, because it made me recognize this happens.
Now you've had this injury, you had your ankle, foot amputated, and now you're like, what have you done? Tell me your accomplishments with sports.
And sports was unexpected, and it started out with my prosthetic company asking, hey, would you like a running prosthetic? There's a nonprofit that can provide you a grant, and you can have it essentially for free, because sporting equipment is not, first of all, it's not free for people with disabilities. It's extremely expensive, on top of already having the expenses of disability in general.
Yeah.
But also it's not covered by insurance. They don't find it necessary. And now we're to the point where people with disabilities are advocating so hard to show just how necessary it is to be out and be active.
Hello?
And it's a lot of what we have wrong
we'll
with.
let you live.
Yeah.
But not necessarily a healthy, prosperous
But
life.
are you living?
You can live.
Yeah. And
you can survive. Yeah.
That's 100% what our healthcare system is doing wrong. It's all about taking and temporarily fixing an illness, but not preventing the illness.
Right.
And that's where we go wrong in our health system here. And it's a long system that's all tied to money.
You and I could talk for
I know that
straight about this, because this is one of my pet peeves too.
And I know that the system does need reform.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everybody knows it. It's just, it's tied to so many big corporations and things. Money is always the issue, right? But sports came to me through this grant, and I looked at it like something necessary to run away from danger, or to go run and get my kid out of the road, or I was not thinking of it as sport.
Right.
I was thinking of it the necessity to move your body quick. And that was it. That was how simple I thought of it, and nothing else. And I went, first of all, I didn't realize I would have to change my leg all the time, because that totally blows that thought process out of the water.
So you constantly have to change back and forth for...
Yeah, I mean, there are now some prosthetics that you can take off and run a bit.
Right.
For like shorter distance, for safety reasons, or even different styles of sport. But if it's coming down to like sprinting or full-blown explosion, right? You really do need a device designed for that, and until they create something that can be the human body, you're not going to have that.
It's like a cross-training leg, so to speak, where you can walk
this one
or
kind
run
of,
with it.
you can kind of take off running with this one. There's different styles, but there's just a lot of different factors, and people tend to be misguided thinking that because you're wearing a prosthetic or a running blade, that somehow you're a god now and you can run really fast, and that it doesn't take extra effort, and you've got this advantage. You really don't. You're using less muscles. You've literally got less muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments to make this move, to operate.
Wow.
You're actually, instead of pulling from a piece of your body, the foot, the ankle, that constantly is adjusting to its environment, right?
Yeah.
You now don't have that adjustment. You're literally slapping something on the ground and trying to read that. Sports started to become an outlet. I did my first 5K pushing my daughter in a stroller.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
Yeah, and there's that same prosthetic company, Baker Orthotics and Prosthetics, that said, hey, you want to sign up for this 5K? And those guys push me all the time, and now I push them. I'm like, I need this leg and that leg, and they're probably tired of me. But yeah, that was the first time I set a goal.
You're a spokesperson for them now.
Whether they like it or not, but
that's great.
But yeah.
And
So
what have you done with the sports? I know you've done a lot.
sports. Okay,
Right.
so it started with that 5K. I
Yeah.
came back. That year was the first time I set a goal in sports ever in my life. I never did sports before. I was bad at sports, but mostly because I didn't know you had to practice.
Yeah.
And so that year I wanted to do it in under an hour. The next year I came back and did it in 31 minutes.
Wow.
So I saw massive improvement.
Yeah.
So I literally cut my time in half. And
That's
then
remarkable.
and then that led to triathlon. I did my first relay triathlon with 2 friends, and it was awful. It was such a learning experience. I took the bike, had no idea what I was doing. So many tears and happy cries, and it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Well, and it was
Yeah,
also that was a big play on PTSD too, because that was the first time being on 2 wheels again in open traffic. I almost got hit by a bus. I fell in an intersection. I actually fell in a parking lot too. Yeah.
And on that note, tell me about your nonprofit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be More Adaptive is my nonprofit.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I'm transitioning now. The whole concept is that no matter what we're doing in life, we can always be a little more adaptive.
Yeah.
We can always flex to the situation. We can always take in a little more information before we respond to something.
Yeah.
That nothing is perfect, right? And so if we take that information, we understand that it makes everything we're doing lighter. Right. And you go, well, I just need to flex a little bit. I don't have to flex a lot. I don't have to change everything I'm doing to be adapting. But I certainly can't stay on the track I'm going if I want to be successful. The whole purpose of Be More Adaptive is to create one place to receive all resources in regards to disability in the world.
Okay.
So it starts out a database where you go in any location in the world, type in your location, your disability or disabilities, and then the type or types of resources you're looking for, and populate real results. It's being built. I need help, so I'm looking for volunteers.
Volunteers.
I need volunteers.
Finances. Yes. Anything you can do to help this beautiful cause in this amazing movement. Great.
I've been trying to make it work. It started as literally a Facebook group.
Wow.
And the community still exists on Facebook, and basically we just share resources when they come to us right now.
That's beautiful.
And literally the other day, a member reached out and said, "Hey, I need, this type of catheter. Does anyone have it?" Other members immediately, "Here, I've got them."
Oh,
so
it's
it's a community too, and it's hey, I'm looking to do this. I don't know how to do it.
And
here's a resource.
Facebook page, a website. How can people become part of the community? How can they help?
So the website is bemoreadaptive.org. It is a 501c3, and the Facebook page is Be More Adaptive Closed Group, and it's because I'm very protective of the members and making sure people aren't taking advantage of them.
People can ask to be submitted. And
yes, it's simple questions they have to answer. Part of that is because the disability community has people out there that objectify them and take advantage of them, even sexualize them without their consent. Consent is always key, if we could teach anybody that today. And so I have to make sure and vet profiles that come through to make sure they're not there to harm the members in any way. But it's not just people with disabilities, it's people pertaining to disabilities anyway. So we've got people involved with rehabilitation and doctors and people who make accessible clothing and devices.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so yes, this database isn't just sports or anything like that. It's anything relating to disability.
That's beautiful. What would you say to somebody watching that has a disability and they're not living their passion, they're not doing what they know they came here to do because the disability has occurred and they've fallen into this mindset of thinking that they're not able to do something?
I mean, there's a community of us that are proving every day that that's not true, first of all. And we need more people to prove that. We can't do it alone. I mean, if you have 20 to 25% of the world, which I still think is a low percentage because not everybody reports disability, even the unseen disabilities or undiagnosed disabilities. If that much of the world is experiencing disability at any moment, permanent disability, not even temporary, you're 100% not alone. We just need more representation. We need it in film, we need it in entertainment, we need it in news, we need it in advertising, we need it everywhere. And it's more relatable. And guess what? You don't want to be like me that falls into disability, a traumatic disability, and goes, well, what do I do? Who do I relate to? This is why I created Be More Adaptive. I don't want people to feel that way. I want them to say, there are options, there are people, this is where I can go. If this doesn't exist, I can make this exist, and now I have a map that shows me where it doesn't exist, so I can make it happen.
You need more of you. You need more people to step up, to step out, to show others that this doesn't have to stop you. And look at you, you started your sporting career, when this happened. And how inspirational to anybody and everybody who is going through something similar, that you've done this. And it's spirits like yours, these bright lights, that end up living your passions and affecting the lives of everyone around you, which is what the show is all about, and I'm just so moved by you.
Well, thank you for helping me shine bright, because I certainly can't do that on my own.
Well, thanks.
But yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing the interview today.
Of course, thank
You're
you
awesome.
for having me.
Today I want to talk a little bit about passionate giving. Yes, not living, but giving. And here are some of the insights that I've gotten through the years along the way about giving back, using our passions to make a difference in the world. And I think the time that I really noticed the difference the most was my very first adventure down in New Orleans to a television conference at the time called NATPE, N-A-T-P-E. And I remember going into that show, and every celebrity you can imagine was around. And I had my camera crew, my little microphone, and I met Roger Moore and Pamela Anderson and Eric Estrada and David Hasselhoff and every possible celebrity. And I would always ask them the question, what are you passionate about? And that would light them up, because it was a different question they were used to getting asked. But then when I would ask, how do you use that passion to give back in the world? Oh my heavens, they would elevate to a whole other level of excitement of how they're using their passion to make a difference. And that's when I realized how important it is for every single human being. I guess I don't always notice it in myself, but even for me, I love doing things in my community to lift others around me. It lights me up. There is so much more that comes back when we give. And of course, that's not the reason to give. You give from your heart, you give from your soul, from a place of authenticity. But I have just found over and over and over again that the more generous we are with our love, with our time, with our finances, if we can afford it, it all comes back tenfold into our lives. And I just want to invite you, whatever it is, look around you. And it doesn't even need to be some big grandiose move or organization. You can look across the street and see your neighbor who has 5 children, and she's single parenting now and stressed out and doesn't have time to herself. And maybe you can offer to make dinner and bring it over to her one day a week, or watch the kids while she goes to a yoga class to relax, or go visit an elderly person in your neighborhood who's shut in, who doesn't have people or relatives around, and bring them some love and share. All of that is generosity of the heart. And again, it just comes back to us so much more than we could ever imagine giving. Thanks for joining me in this Cat's Passion moment. Hi, thanks again for watching. Remember, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. you can watch a live premiere of Passionate Living. And again, please remember to press like, comment, and if you feel inclined to subscribe or donate to our channel, because it really does help us to get the message out there to inspire viewers to live their passions. We thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again.